Hi there, my name is Rihanna, and I'm currently a student in the coordinated MSDI program with the University of Central Arkansas and Keith and Associates Dietetics. I just started taking classes at UCA over the summer, but I graduated with my bachelor's degree in clinical nutrition from the University of California, Davis in 2019, and I got credentialed as an NDTR in 2020. So I've been working as a diet tech with eating disorder patients over the past few years at multiple different facilities with intensive outpatient and partial hospitalization patients, adolescent and adult. So I've really enjoyed working in behavioral health and have a big interest in intuitive eating and health at every size. So if anybody else has interest in that, I would love to talk about that. That being said, most of my experience is in motivational interviewing, nutrition counseling, and group facilitating of workshops and group classes. So I don't have as much research experience, even though UC Davis is a research institute here in California. I didn't get to intern or work in labs like many of my other peers or friends did, as I was working while I was finishing my degree. So I'm really excited for this class to just learn more about research and just everything that has to go with it. So in terms of the paper, the Just et al. Article, it was a study that was looking at the effects of price on buffet price on perceived sensory experience. So in terms of satisfaction, enjoyment, and taste. So they found that when they increased the price, people perceived the quality to be better and reported that they had better taste, satisfaction, and enjoyment. They also were noticing in the study that as people ate more, so they were looking at it in units of pizza, that the quality perception went down. So by the third slice of pizza, on average, people didn't think it tasted as good as the first slice. But that was more dramatic in the group that had the cheaper price, seeming that their perceived quality was less because of the price. So overall, I think this study was interesting, but my impression is that it was quite limited. Even for a pilot design, I think it could have been much more robust. So they talked about some of the limitations in the discussion section, but I noticed a few of my own. So I think it was just a very small study in general. It was over a small window of only 2 weeks. It was only 122 participants, so a small group population, and it was only looking at lunch hour, which I found to be interesting because in my own experience, I find that most people go out to eat for buffets at dinner time, being that it's when they're off of work or done with school. And I find that lunchtime tends to be food eaten on site, whether it's brought to work or school or provided by the facility, or more of like a grab and go situation. So I found this to not really be a good window that they were looking at, or limited that they weren't looking at a dinner window additional to the lunch window. I also found that using the flyers was something that threw off the study. They did talk about in the discussion section how the flyers might have been perceived differently by people who were regular customers at the restaurant. I think using flyers in general was a flaw of this study design because in my experience, walking into any establishment, especially a restaurant, and being handed a flyer, I think you're going to interpret that as a deal because it's not a typical thing to get a flyer as you're walking into a restaurant. So whether or not you're a new customer, an old customer, I think getting the flyer, there was a large chance it was interpreted as a deal by the participants of the study, especially because a free drink was included with it. So I think that part of it especially made it seem like a deal. And the authors of the study were under the assumption that most people would think this is the regular price that the buffet has. However, I disagree with that. I also find that using the words enjoyment and satisfaction can be confusing, as those two words for an average person might be very similar in context. I think it would have been helpful for looking at the actual observations and results of the study by using more distinct words when doing that sensory questionnaire that the participants filled out. So overall, I think there is quite a few things that this study was limited in, and so I don't really think I would quote it or use it in a piece of my work, because I think it was pretty limited and didn't have the best overall study design. However, I do find that the information they found, the results from the study, to be pretty reliable and valid with my own experiences, as I do see, and as they mentioned in the background of the study, that as price gets increased, quality perception also gets increased, while as price gets decreased, quality perception also gets decreased. So I do find, I agree with what they said in the study, but I think the study could have used some improvements. Overall, thank you for listening to my take on it, and I look forward to everything we have going on in this class. Thank you so much.